Hi guys, so I'm going to do this lovely 30-day manicure on Sarah here using Options Crystal Clear. She did really good last time with a little bit less lifting than she previously had. It only comes in these tiny pots or a refill tube. The tubes look like this. And so there's the OptiBond one, but the LED options gels typically come either in the little tiny pot or the tube, just to prevent you from over curing in an LED light and accidentally curing an entire giant large pot, because it's easier to cure one of those because it's very light sensitive. So in case you're wondering why there are no large pots, that is why. So it's nice because then if your pot gets gunked up, once you run out, you can just clear it out and move on. So Options Clear is quite a bit more flexible than natural, which is what I use for a lot of clients. So for someone, if they're getting a little bit of lifting, or if they're a picker and you need it to just really bond as good as possible, and maybe you're worried that when they are pulling their natural nails away, this is a really good solution for those kind of clients. So it's a bit runnier, so you have to work pretty quickly with it or freeze a little bit more often. I'd say typically I do 2 to 3 nails and maybe freeze it. 2 probably would make more sense, or up to 4, but it depends on how temperature, what the temperature is in your salon or the temperature of your clients. She's actually a little bit warm, so I'm going to freeze this in a second. And just glide it on like a gloss. So keep your brush really nice and flat on the nail and just brush it on like a thick gloss, making sure that it stays nice and thin and that it's not moving around on you. This one, if she kept her pinky up, you would end up with a little bit of a bubble in the front. Looks like it's all right. And I'm going to freeze this for a few seconds, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the thumb. Okay, so go ahead and freeze that. And I'm just going to turn the light on and off just to flash cure it. Because it's runnier, it's going to start curing a lot faster. Those molecules are already very fluid. So a really runny gel like this is just going to start warming up pretty quickly. So I just flash cured it twice, just for a second or two. And now I'm going to do the thumb. And then I'll let her go in the light to finish curing. In this video, I'm also going to talk about how I get really close to the cuticle with the color. It's a question I've had a couple of times, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about that all the way in with that. Okay, next hand. So what I'm working on here for a base coat is just OptiBond. So I've prepped her nails, done her cuticle work, cleansed them with an alcohol base. So I use nail prep, or you can use prep and wipe, or if you have anything that's 99% alcohol, that's fine. So clean off the nail, and then you can prime if you'd like. I went ahead and used a Fix It, which is our protein bonder, just to add a little bit of extra bonding strength. That is flying around, sticking out right there. Goodbye. All right. So pillow around the cuticle and then float over. It's a very thin application, but you want to make sure you're getting the whole nail covered pretty well. Get rid of lint if you discover it, which that's what that is right there. But this is very self-leveling. All right, that didn't do it. So if that doesn't work, then I take this and I scrape it off, because sometimes the lint got cured in your OptiBond. So if grabbing it like that doesn't take it off, just take your pusher and scrape it off because it was stuck in the base coat. Holy cow. Lint is really annoying me. Okay. I can't see your questions because Jess isn't here. So if you guys do have questions, feel free to ask them and I will answer later. Or if she happens to pop on and knows the answer, she can let you know as well. This will probably be a pretty quick video. And the trick of this kind of a gel is to brush it on, but don't play with it too much. If you keep playing with it, you're going to end up just overworking it and wasting a lot of time. Brush it on the nail and move on to the next nail and let it start leveling. And then you can go back and look at it and see if you need to change anything. See, that looks good. That looks good. This is a little bit pumped out on there, so I'm just going to pull some of that gel off because the gel had kind of gone that way. All right, we're going to freeze this a few times, just on and off, and we're going to turn it off for a second. it a second, and another flash on and off, and then come back, and I'm just going to do her thumb. So that was just to get the product so it doesn't move while I turn it sideways, because it is a bit runnier than natural. With natural I can do all 5, but definitely with this one, if I turned her whole hand sideways, you would end up with a big mess. So flash cure that before you do your thumb. Once you cover the whole nail, if you see here on the line of light how it has a break here where it's not smooth anymore and you need to add a little bit, get a string of gel and you can just string right on it, and then it'll start to self-level into that. So as long as you already have a base of wet gel, it'll do that for you. And you guys see how that just smoothed right out? It's working on it. It's pretty close right there. So much better finish. All right, so I'm gonna let her go ahead and finish curing that. Close up my options clear. That is a soak off, so if for some reason you had someone that just wanted a temporary set, you could apply that and soak off. All right, so I'm gonna be using Rebel on her. This is a really, really great, kind of a neutral pinky red color. It's kind of one of those where it just goes with absolutely every color. So how I get really close to the cuticle is I get behind my brush and I push up. So a lot of nail techs just get the brush on there and start brushing. And I really work the brush up into the cuticle, and that's probably part of it. Is, again, I pull down from the side, get my brush, and just the same way that I'm working gel in front of my brush, I do the same with my gel polish brush, is I push it up into the cuticle and then glide down. And if you did a lot of cuticle work and you got them pushed up really well, then you should have a nice clean area to work with. And you know, over the next couple hours, those cuticles tend to kind of pull back down, but that allows people, you know, at a week grow out, they normally don't see anything because you push the cuticles back really well. So cuticle work's important. Again, I push my brush up around the cuticle. Getting close to the cuticle is really important, and not touching it. And if you do touch it, it's fine, but you need to wipe it out. I don't like having gel in the cuticle, gel color or anything like that, because it's something that your clients are going to pick at. And if they pick, they get lifting, and then they come in and they're like, my nails all fell off. We don't know what that's like at all. All right. I'm going to show you guys something I just saw on this one. There's a little piece of lint right here. See that little speck? I'm just going to push that out, and that way it's more smooth right there. So always have orange wood stick ready to go. Push up. I touched her thumb with my pinky. So if you do touch anything, either have a wipe to wipe it off, and then here there's just a little bit that I got right there. All right, and as you can see, it shrunk back just a little tiny bit. Sometimes colors do. I just quickly touch the end. I always file the ends anyway a little bit, so it's not that big of a deal. But it really has a lot to do with pigments. So some people freak out with you know, the whole shrink back situation, and there's a couple things that can contribute to it. If you're getting more shrinking, hello, that's a lot of lint. She just touched a wipe, so we now have lots of lint. Okay. If you're getting a lot of shrinking, there's a couple things that can attribute to it. If you have a color that hasn't been shaken in a while and you go to brush it on and it looks kind of marbly, that means that there's a lot of clear and a lot of your pigment has sunk to the bottom. And you need to shake it really well, because that clear is going to cause a problem. Okay, so what I noticed here is where I had moved that, I had touched the skin a little bit. So right before I added my color, I'm just going to pull that out and wipe it. Okay, and that eliminates that little bit of gel that was there from when I did her fill. And push up around the cuticle. You can glide this way too, but I find especially in the middle of the nail, it's better pushing up than trying to glide. You end up bumping a bit. Get behind your brush and push it up, because if you just start trying to go from here down, you can't see what you're doing. So people start here and go down, and start here and go down, and you get a huge gap. So push your gel up and then pull it down. And that way you don't have a big gap as it's going out. Get your gel in front of your brush and pull it down. Now if you have a solvent type of gel polish that's really finicky on how thick your gel is, and you start getting wrinkling or something, you may not be able to do this technique, but you'll have to just try it and see. This isn't a solvent gel polish, so I can put it on a little bit thicker if I want to. But you're just going to push it back, and I'm not doing it thick back there, but I don't know how finicky some of those can be. But I'm pushing it back around the cuticle, and then run my brush down the side. Okay, I'm just going to check here, see if anything happened. Just a little tiny bit on the free edge. Again, I'm not that concerned with it because I am going to file the edge at the end. And also your second coat is going to get less shrinking by far than your first coat, because it has a different kind of tacky layer that it's sticking to. And your shrinking is going to also depend on the tacky layer that you're applying your color to. Applying your color over the top of Options Clear is going to be different than applying it over the top of Natural Clear or a gel from Light Elegance or a gel from Amy Becker. Any of those, they're all going to have different dispersion layers, and those different dispersion layers are going to be stickier or slipperier than some, and some are going to be less slippery. It really just depends on the dispersion layer. Your base coat might be really slippery. So if you are working with a gel and you seem to just get a lot of shrinking no matter what, you can always try wiping some of that dispersion layer away. Oh, she got a lot of lint on that. She grabbed a wipe to rub a little bit of gel off her hand before I saw what she was doing, but she got a lot of lint on her nail in the process. It's all right. We'll just put a little bit thicker of a coat on here to try to cover up that. But nope, I gotta try to scrape that off. That's one more piece. Lint. Don't let your clients pick up gel wipes. Alright, that should be good. Once I top coat over that, all that will disappear. So, alright. Finishing this up, and again, color, this is Rebel, which is really fun. There's a couple colors in this family that have the same kind of tone to them, a little dark, a little lighter. Also really popular, Ruby and Rumor. These three are really popular year round, but definitely in the spring when people want to go a little bit more pink than red, but not necessarily like a bubblegum pink or anything like that. It's kind of that little bit of the mauve-y look. That one got touched a bit. It's all right. So again, getting my brush up, and I'm pushing up around the cuticle to get it nice and close. It also helps it so that your cuticle work is a lot smoother than bumpy. Push up with your brush. Gets it nice and close. Okay, the trick is to try to get her hand lifted enough off my paper that it doesn't touch, but still get in camera for you guys. So again, pushing around the cuticle and glide down the side walls and across the front. All right, go ahead and put that in. And top coat. So I'm using Luxio gloss. It's my favorite gloss. I basically do the same thing, push up near the cuticle and glide over the top. Very quick application this way. Push up, push up. Really important though, if you get it in the cuticle on this step, you want to use your orange wood stick and wipe it out. See how that smooths out really well? It's a little tiny, little bitty bumps, but they'll disappear once we get this gloss on here. Your gloss shouldn't look streaky when you apply it. If it looks streaky at all, you need to put a little bit more on your brush. If your gloss is pitting, there's a couple reasons for that. Sometimes you've got oils that have touched the nail or gotten on your brush, things like that. Those will cause pitting. Normally it's from someone touching the nail. So if your client touches their nail, oh, this nail's really sticky. And yes, it's always sticky. But now you've just added oil, and sometimes I will buff their nail to get the oil off, because otherwise you're going to see pitting on your color. So if you're seeing that, that is another reason why you might see pitting. All right, gloss on all of them. This one still has one speck that's not wanting to behave. Okay. Last hand, and then we will show you guys the quick finish filing that I do just around the edges. You excited for the game this weekend? Mm-hmm. I can't wait. I'm getting really nervous.
I know, me too.
I don't think anyone in Seattle is going to sleep well Friday night.
Only 4.
Well, they're what? They're up for...
Only picked by 4, to win by 4.
Yeah, but I was hearing today that the Lions had about the same as their running game as they do. And if we play like we did last week... In my salon, we are talking football this week because Seahawks are in the playoffs, if you did not know. If you did not know, you need to watch more football.
The Seahawks in particular.
The Seahawks in particular. Even if you live in the middle of nowhere and you want to become a football fan, you should become a Seahawks fan. My husband, however, a Packers fan his whole life, and Jessica, a Patriots fan, might disagree. However, this is Seahawks world. All right, so take your wipe. You should hear a great squeak like that. Oh, because our top coat is so crazy shiny. So if you are trying to soak off Luxio, you do want to file the surface of your gloss, because nothing will want to penetrate that kind of a shine. It's so shiny. So all the filing I'm doing is just on the sides, around the front, and on the sides. I'm not doing much. I just am taking off anything that might be, see how this has that little bit of gel right there? You just go and you just finish this on the bottom, around the sides. You don't have to worry about a seal being broken. The gel works perfectly fine without a seal being broken. You just want to get a nice, smooth, perfect finish. And this last little bit of filing is what does it. So I don't do any finish filing during the service. This is, other than the prep filing, this is the only filing that I do. You don't need to do finish filing if you're using natural, enhance, options. All of those have great self-leveling qualities, so you don't have to finish file. This again was options crystal clear. So the last thing I'm going to do with this is I take my e-file, and I have my sanding band on here that I used on her. And if you look down the barrel, you can see that it's very, very thin already. But what I like to do is just take off that little, Feels like my sanding my thing. Just the slightest amount, just to make sure that it stays really, really thin. If you had white, it'd be a little bit easier to see, but I want to make sure that this is very, very thin. And so I just remove anything right there just to thin that out. As you guys can see, that 30-day manicure, you're not adding a lot of bulk. See how thin her nail is? You're not adding a lot of bulk at all. You just want to get that nice and thin, keep it all really thin so that her nails still look like her own nails. But with that extra layer of hard gel or Options Crystal Clear in this case, they get a much stronger nail and they can go 3 to 4 weeks without breaking a nail. And that is why we call it the 30-day manicure. And I always finish with some top coat. Builder gel. I don't use builder gels for this because you do have to finish file. So, but Options is a great builder gel if you need flexibility. So Options is more flexible than Options Crystal Clear. So if you want a little bit of hardness, which I still want her nails to feel nice and hard and strong, so I use Options Crystal Clear instead of Options Clear. But Options Clear is great, like as a top coat on glitter on toes and stuff. It's a little bit thicker viscosity than a regular top coat, so you can really finish off your toes. So there we go, super high shine with our beautiful color Rebel today. And I'll make sure I get a little Instagram shot of this so you guys can look at it later. But thanks for joining me. Hope this helped you guys get your skills getting a little bit closer to the cuticle. As you push it back, you can see we got really good and close, and there's a nice good line around it. It's nice and smooth. So make sure you're pushing your cuticles back really, really well before you get started, so you guys can get this close to the cuticle and get a really nice finished nail and give your clients a lot of grow out time. Thanks everyone. Talk to you later.